Hi there, this is Hypnotherapist John Morgan. I thought it would be helpful for you to know about the person behind all the videos presented on this channel, so here's a little of my bio material. The big picture is I earned the reputation of being America's best-known hypnotherapist after presenting my self-improvement seminars to hundreds of thousands of people all across America. I also had a rewarding and award-winning career in broadcasting as a radio and TV host, and as a manager and consultant for multiple radio stations. I was born and grew up in Pennsylvania, mainly in suburban Philadelphia. I attended 3 different colleges in the area before joining the U.S. Navy. During my Navy stint, I attended broadcasting school in Norfolk, Virginia, under the tutelage of a highly successful broadcaster named Paul Henning. I got my first broadcasting job in Norfolk while stationed at a nearby base. After a 2-year tour of duty at Sinkland Fleet Headquarters in Norfolk, where I required and earned a top-secret FBI clearance, I was transferred to an aircraft carrier which was home-ported in Rhode Island. There, I took over the management of the ship's radio and TV facility and was part of the Armed Forces Radio Network. After my 4-year tour of duty was complete, I began a civilian radio career working at stations in cities all across the country, which included St. Louis, Kansas City, Syracuse and Buffalo, New York, Providence, Rhode Island, and Boston, to name a few. I have hundreds of fascinating stories from my radio career, but one really stands out. I was doing an afternoon radio show in Kansas City when one of the salesmen at the station sold an advertising schedule to a rodeo in Sedalia, Missouri, which was about 90 miles away. The salesman told me that he promised the rodeo that I would compete in a bull riding contest against a local disc jockey from Sedalia. Now, I got to tell you, the closest I ever came to seeing a bull was in a Disney cartoon. I was astonished and apprehensive that I was volunteered for this assignment. We took a busload of radio listeners with us to Sedalia who were there to root me on. I was told I was only to ride a baby Brahma bull. What they didn't tell me is that it weighed over 1,000 pounds. The broadcaster from Sedalia went first and rode the bull for 2.4 seconds before being tossed off. Gosh, I was never so scared in my life. Here I was in a wooden stall, mounting an animal that was flailing ferociously against the sidewalls and had its testicles attached to the rope I was holding onto for dear life. I'm sure my heart has never raced this fast or my body ever shook this much in fear. The chute opened, the bull bolted and bucked, and the next thing I knew, I was thrown over its head and landed flat on my back on the turf. Rodeo clowns came to my rescue, shooing the bull away, and I was amazed that I was able to get up, even to this day. The bad news is I hurt for a week afterwards. The good news is I lasted 2.6 seconds and won the competition. I call it the Young and Stupid Award. Not many people have the dumbest thing they ever did captured on film. I do. It's the thumbnail picture of me on this video, riding the bull with fear etched across my face. Somewhere around this time, I developed an interest in hypnosis. I bought books on it and studied them from cover to cover. I tried my amateur hypnosis skills on neighbors and friends and had some success helping them outgrow some habits. I then took a course at a local college. It was apparent to me that I had more experience than the teacher, and he recognized it too and asked me to do a demonstration for the class. What really got me curious about a career in hypnosis was watching a TV show featuring a man who was doing hypnosis for childbirth. After the show was over, I immediately called the producer and asked how I could contact that guy. He lived in Michigan, and I called him, asking how I could go about doing hypnosis for a living. He listened to my background, and he told me his ex-business partner had moved back to Boston and was always looking for good people to conduct his stop smoking and weight loss seminars. I called this man and asked how I would go about being hired to do his seminars. He told me to come to one of his seminars and observe. Afterwards, he asked me what I thought. I told him, I can do these seminars. He wasn't as convinced as I was, so he asked me to come to a few more. I followed him around like a puppy dog for a month. Then one night, He introduced me to the crowd and told them I would lead the second session of the evening. I did, and afterwards he said, "You really can do this." And a new career was born. I did these seminars at hospitals, alcohol treatment centers, schools, libraries, and in hotel ballrooms. I was also taking training on my own in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, a fascinating field for personal change, and I became certified. Soon after that, I interviewed Tony Robbins on my radio talk show when he was first starting out, and he invited me to his Firewalk experience in New York City. I went down and watched Tony's presentation and did the Firewalk at the end of the evening, which entailed walking across 14 feet of 2,000-degree burning coals barefoot. The one thing I remember most from that evening was the African drummer Olatunji playing live as we walked across the coals unscathed. Tony and I chatted about the people we knew in common, and he told me about someone I had never heard of, whom I eventually experienced. And this man forever changed my approach to people helping. His name was Dr. Dave Dobson. He was a psychologist and hypnotherapist who taught what he called other than conscious communication and no-fault psychology. I studied 2 weeks with him in the San Juan Islands north of Seattle. It was a life-changing experience for me, learning seemingly magical things that weren't written in any books. Dave was truly a wizard, and he knew how to connect with people consciously and subconsciously at the same time. I went out on my own after this experience and hooked up with an old radio friend who became my business partner, and I conducted hypnosis seminars all across America. We did our seminars in 45 states, and as a result, I was an invited guest and interviewed on hundreds of radio and TV stations about the work we were doing and became nationally known. It was the addition of my self-help recordings that brought international attention to my work from around the world. We sold these recordings in all the major countries across the globe and in some places I never heard of before. I've taught communication workshops to banks, attorneys, church groups, prisons, radio and TV stations, and to other people helpers. I retired after 35 years of doing seminars, workshops, and private therapy. I spend my time writing and creating self-help videos for my YouTube channel so people can benefit from all my experiences. I invite you to explore this channel and see what makes sense for you. I encourage you to read my weekly essays on grasshoppernotes.com and read my blog post at the same address. I've written 2 books, Interruption, The Magic Key to Lasting Change, and Wisdom of the Grasshopper, 21 Days to Creativity. The Interruption book can be digitally downloaded for free at grasshoppernotes.com. The Wisdom of the Grasshopper is a personal journal to increase your creativity, and it's for sale at blurb.com, and I've made it affordable at only $16.95. I request you buy a copy for you and for someone close to you, too, who wants to tap into their creativity more often. In closing, I am the father of 3 sons and the grandfather to 6 grandchildren. And of all the roles I've had in life, being a father and a grandfather is my absolute favorite. Thanks for listening. All the best, John.